Welcome to the Festival of Storytellers.
I can't tell you how excited I am to be on right now. It's been a couple of weeks of excitement, getting prepared, and I've done a lot of things in my life, but this has got to be close to the top.
Thank you, and ReadersMagnet, and thank you, John, for putting this forth and taking the chance on our authors in presenting this out to the world.
I've enjoyed this immensely, Joanne.
Ellie, so have I. Thank you for who you are, and thank you, ReadersMagnet. You all are beautiful, and you've worked so very hard, and we are blessed.
We are.
I thank everybody that's involved with this process, because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers. We thank ReadersMagnet and everybody that's involved. I love ReadersMagnet. They say, we share your stories with the world.
Hello, fairgoers. Welcome to the Festival of Storytellers. We are now streaming live in our ReadersMagnet Facebook page and ReadersMagnet YouTube channel. This event is from November 8th to the 21st and will showcase authors who each have a wondrous story to tell. We are now in our second week of celebration, and indeed, it has been awesome so far. So please enjoy the celebration, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to stay updated on the latest events. Sign up and join us at www.thefestivalofstorytellers.com. Today, we have one of our featured authors, James Teneyck, author of The Life and Times of Walter Reuther, An Unfinished Liberal Legacy. Hi, James. How are you?
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. I'm glad to have this conversation with you today. So let's start with the legacy of Walter. What legacy do you think Walter should be celebrated for?
Well, he's best known, let's say, for his as being a labor leader. Some of the labor agreements that he negotiated, particularly in the late 40s and in the period of 50s to the mid 60s, were the standards that set really the standard of what the labor negotiations in the plants would be, not only for the auto workers but for other workers. He was involved. One of the reasons I feature Walter Reuther is, well, first, he was a person that I admired. But secondly, the times, the life and times of Walter Reuther. So, from the mid-30s up through his unfortunate death in a plane crash in 1970, I believe, at the time of Kent State and the Cambodia invasion and so forth. I think that was 70. He was a major figure on the national and even the international stage, and he was involved in most of the major controversies or the major accomplishments, let's say, of that era. He was the labor leader. He was involved in the civil rights movement. He was, the one white spokesperson on the stage at the Lincoln Memorial at the 1963 march. He was, he marched with King. He marched with King and uh, not at Selma, not the day of the Sunday, the Bloody Sunday at Selma, but in the response to that, he and his wife were there. He was there in Memphis, during uh, around the time that King was murdered. And so he was involved in the civil rights movement. He was involved in the labor negotiations. He had a very interesting personal history. He was also known as the Plan Man. He had plans, the first of which was producing 500 planes a day using the excess capacity of the auto industry. The auto industry sort of went through two different cycles. It had the cycle where it was building up to the production of the new model year, and then the cycle when they were producing the cars and selling those. And during that second phase, a lot of the tool and die equipment in the plants was idle. So he proposed that we postpone, the introduction of a new model year, and then use that excess capacity, pool it over. At this time, it would have been the three major auto manufacturers, but there were a number of others that were still surviving in that period. So that was his plan. At first, it was the only, the only plan available in 1940 when the Battle of Britain was raging, and we were building up for the possibility of going to war. That plan was rejected, let's say, by the auto workers. The auto companies were opposed. One of the main people in the war management, the pre-war management at this stage, department and Roosevelt's not cabinet, but in the group of people he had around him to do that was a man by the name of Knudsen, who was not a friend of Reuther's and was disinclined to go into anything that Reuther presented. The plan that is probably most that many people don't remember him for, but he was basically the author of the Peace Corps. An original version in 1951, which was basically through the UN, and then in 1956 speech, he proposed essentially the Peace Corps as it became to be known and as it became to be formalized. He persuaded Kennedy, or he met with Kennedy prior to the 1960 election, told him or persuaded him that there was too much emphasis on a missile gap and things of that sort. And, he pushed Kennedy to, adopt the Peace Corps into his agenda. So he was he was that. He was involved in nuclear energy. The first protest against building a power plant near two major cities. The result of that was that the plant was built. It never really operated at full capacity. The dangers that Reuther and his associates were ascribing to the plant came to fruition, and it was decommissioned 20 years after it was built, having run at full capacity for maybe a total of a day or two.
Oh,
So the thing that happened during the protest, though, was that the nuclear industry was regulated by the Atomic Energy Commission. So the AEC both promoted nuclear power and was charged with regulating. And that was a terrible conflict of interest. So the main thing that happened out of that was that they split that off into two groups: the Department of Energy that promoted it, and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission that were supposedly disjoint. So, since
it's a really interesting story. There's a lot of, agenda or, plans that he created to, I mean, to stand out and to be heard. So, for those who are watching us live, you can grab a copy of James' book, The Life and Times of Walter Reuther, An Unfinished Liberal Legacy, available in Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. So, to me, it seems like he was a person, I mean, Walter, person with agenda. So, where was his motivation to do all of these things coming from?
From his family. His his grandfather emigrated from Germany, immigrated into the United States. His father was, a, a child of, you know, I, roughly 10, let's say, at the time that, that the grandfather and the rest of the family immigrated to the United States. But they felt very strongly, the family belief was that there's no more noble goal in life than to help your brother, and there's no greater reward than to having done it well. So that sort of became a family motto. The father was involved in a lot of issues. He was a labor leader within the community around Wheeling. The family history from even the earliest age was quite interesting. One thing I could say, though, the book is The Life and Times of Walter Reuther. Walter Reuther has a central position, but I separate all of the chapters into different subjects. The first chapter was really the last one that I wrote because, when I was finished, Reuther first appears, doesn't appear in the book until maybe page 50 or thereabouts. So I needed to have a brief introduction into the main protagonist of the story. But then there's the first chapter, the American century, the events that happened around the turn of the century, the reasons that the United States was in the best position to take advantage of these events. And then, of course, there were the two world wars that devastated the rest of the industrial world. And the United States was really the last country standing that didn't have its industrial base and infrastructure demolished during those two wars. And then we go on to other chapters like the Cold War. Reuther appears in this, but is not necessarily central to all of the events, in these other later chapters. The Vietnam, the Cold War, Vietnam. I have a chapter. It's probably the longest chapter in the book. Is IBM. In, let's say, the corporate, the corporate welfare state, if you will. And I forget what I call it. But that's a long chapter. Reuther is peripheral. He appears at some point, but he's peripheral to the things that go on in that chapter. Healthcare. Reuther was, one of his plans was the plan that became originally Ted Kennedy's healthcare plan. Reuther formed a committee of 100. He named three prominent people, Michael DeBakey, the heart surgeon, and Whitney Young was the civil rights leader. He was the head of the Urban League, and a medical researcher, Mary Lasker. They were the three co-chairs. He set up a committee of about 100 people, and then he went to Kennedy and said, "I'd like you to be the head of the Senate committee that's that's in charge of healthcare." And Kennedy told him that, he's going to be doing education because the health care is going to be given to Claiborne Pell. So it just so happens then, that part of the story, I don't know exactly what pressure was put on, but Pell decides to take up education, and we have the Pell grants today, from that. And Kennedy gets the health committee. So the original Kennedy health reform proposal came from Reuther. Part of Reuther's interest in healthcare stemmed from his experience recovering from the assassination attempt, one of the assassination attempts that was almost got it.
Interesting story. James, your book is full of information. It has a lot of, scenes that we can learn from. So it's good. It's good. And I'm so thankful to have this conversation with you. Thank you so much for that very informative talk we had. So, all right, everyone. James Teneyck, author of the book The Life and Times of Walter Reuther, An Unfinished Liberal Legacy. His book is available in Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. Again, thank you, James. And as we say it here in Reader's Magnet, we share your story with the world. Good day,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.